It's the 19th century. Millions of immigrants flock to Ellis Island in search of opportunity. From across the ocean, America seemed to be a flourishing land of growing industry and big business. Much to many immigrants' dismay, America was nothing more than cramped houses and low wages. With a high percentage of immigrants arriving to America with little assets, political machines and economic tycoons took advantage of the poor and desperate to create the big businesses that shaped modern America.
Big businesses were able to manipulate the American working class by taking advantage of the government's lack of intervention, known as laissez-faire capitalism. Scottish economist Adam Smith defined how low government intervention can benefit a country's economic system in his reflection on the market, The Wealth of Nations. The Wealth of Nations is considered to be the foundation of modern economic theory.
The annual labor of every nation is the fund which originally supplies it with all the necessaries and conveniences of life, which it annually consumes. Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, 1776.
Laissez-faire capitalism led many big businesses to great success. Business leaders were able to reach great achievements through multiple strategies. The strategies are as followed.
The first successful strategy is a monopoly. A monopoly is implied when one business has majority control over one economic aspect. Monopolies, while feared, can be extremely efficient. The fear led to legislative acts preventing such control except when deemed necessary in a certain market, such as regional utilities.
A conglomerate is a combination of two or more corporations engaged in entirely different businesses together into one corporate structure, usually involving a parent company and several subsidiaries. And a modern-day example would be General Motors.
An economic strategy known as a pool is created when two or more companies combine to become more profitable and also remove their competition. An example would be the merger between AT&T, Singular, and Bell South.
A trust is an organizational structure that gives control over several business firms, usually in the same industry, to a single board of trustees with the purpose of monopolizing the market. An example is the Standard Oil Trust, controlled by J.D. Rockefeller, that was dismantled through the Sherman Act.
The last of the effective strategies during this time is known as a holding company. A holding company is basically like a parent company. A holding company is a business that can control another company due to the amount of voting stock in its baby company.
The Gilded Age was led by many industrial visionaries who were able to revolutionize the American economy.
Andrew Carnegie was one of these men. His intuition and creative thinking helped revolutionize the steel industry. He was able to produce steel efficiently and inexpensively. Although producing steel cheaply was what made him his money, it was his practice of vertical integration that changed American economics forever. Vertical integration is the idea of maintaining control of all aspects of business, from raw materials to consumers.
Andrew Carnegie was not only a phenom of the steel industry, but also believed in giving back to his community. Not only did 90% of his earnings go back to his community, but on his death, he left Carnegie Hall. Andrew Carnegie also set up a system of libraries in order to support higher education.
A man who dies rich dies disgraced. Andrew Carnegie, 1901.
Carnegie's steel industry operated so efficiently that at its peak was sold to John Pierpont Morgan for $400 million.
J.P. Morgan was another economic mastermind of the time. Before purchasing Carnegie's steel empire, he was into railroads. He possessed stocks in many railroad companies, thus giving him considerable control over them. He then branched out into more than one economic industry. He helped create the United States Steel Corporation after he bought out Carnegie's company. By around 1900, Morgan basically had control over all American industry.
He really focused on the financial and insurance aspects of economy. This lasting effect can be found by acknowledging the rather large company now known as J.P. Morgan Chase.
While Morgan was an economic pioneer, he was also a leader of the country. He contributed to his country greatly when he helped work out the financial crisis of 1907. J.P. Morgan is considered to be a robber baron, while Carnegie is more of a captain of industry.
Go as far as you can see. When you get there, you'll be able to see farther. J.P. Morgan, 1904.
Along with Carnegie, John Davison Rockefeller was another captain of industry. Oil was discovered in 1859, and Rockefeller was immediately intrigued by it. By 1870, he and his brothers created the Standard Oil Company. This company used determined tactics to delete all competition. Some tactics the company was able to use include offering rebates to railroad companies, hiring thugs to dismantle smaller groups, and entering rate wars and letting smaller competitors fall first.
While Carnegie used the ideology of vertical integration, Rockefeller used horizontal integration. He believed that if he could control 60% of the production of the product, he would have full control.
J.D. Rockefeller was able to make a serious name for himself. In the last 26 years of his life, he dedicated his life to bettering his country. He instituted such things as the General Education Board, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the Rockefeller Sanitary Commission.
I can think of nothing less pleasurable than a life devoted to pleasure. John D. Rockefeller, 1879.
Throughout the Gilded Age, Jay Gould was considered one of the leading robber barons. Before his infamous gold scheme, Gould had a leading role in the railroad industry. While director of the Erie Railroad, Gould combated prices with his allies James Fisk and Daniel Drew. Gould also bribed public officials. In 1869, Gould attempted to corner the gold market in the same manner. Gould's plans were foiled on Black Friday as a result of the Panic of 1869.
Gould also played a small role in the Tweed Ring. He became partners with James Fisk and entered the scheme behind Tammany Hall. Gould became a secondary topic behind Boss Tweed of Thomas Nast cartoons.
Jay Gould is considered a robber baron due to his improper use of political power to gain economic wealth. An example of his wrongful doings is his attempt to corner the gold market.
I can hire one half of the working class to kill the other half. Jay Gould, 1870.
Along with revolutionary business tactics, innovation and futuristic thought brought the United States economy into the future. One example of the great innovative minds of the time was Henry Ford. His idealistic experiments on engines and automobiles transformed the way we receive and transport goods and ourselves. Henry Ford's automobile revolutionized the world, but it was his creation of the assembly line that made it possible to produce goods cheaply and quickly. Because of this, the Model T was the first automobile to be mass-produced. Like many others, Henry Ford had a philanthropic view on his wealth. Not only did he give a good percentage of money back to the middle class, but he also believed in welfare capitalism. He designed this to improve the lot of his workers and to reduce the heavy turnover of the time.
A business that makes nothing but money is a poor business. Henry Ford, 1914.
While everyone was quick to point out the beauty of the economy, Thorstein Veblen noticed the imperfections. As a professor at the University of Chicago, he wrote The Theory of the Leisure Class. It was in this essay that he was able to disapprove of certain people in society. He was highly disappointed in people that were guilty of his coined term, conspicuous consumption. Conspicuous consumption is defined as the waste of money for the sole purpose of making thyself look better than others.
Philanthropy was an important aspect of big business during the Gilded Age. Tycoons and industrial giants Andrew Carnegie and J.D. Rockefeller both believed in giving back through the gospel of wealth. The gospel of wealth is an economic idea that developed during the Gilded Age. Rockefeller and Carnegie are two economic icons that believed this way. Gospel of wealth is a theory that suggests that God gave individuals the power of money and that it is their responsibility to give back. Carnegie and Rockefeller both shared their wealth with the community in impressive and unique ways.
Man, I'm looking for the good life. Something that you can't imagine, something you don't know. Man, I'm looking for the good life. Baby girl, I got a ticket. Do you wanna go? Swelle, 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 swelle. And we can have a good night. Show me that you got some good sense. Show me what you know. Make your trunk go. Make your trunk go. Make your trunk go. Man, I gotta be fresh and I gotta be ill. Relocate from the jungle where it's kill or be killed. And I'ma get mine, don't care how you feel. In an artificial world where nothing is real. Been searching for a while for a life that's greater. And hopefully I make it there sooner or later. Remember I was younger and I didn't have a thing. And then I had a dream, nigga, Martin Luther King. I'm swelly on top of the world, it seems. Cash rules, everything around me get cream. Good morning to my haters, all I say is good night. They ask me what I'm looking for, I need the good life. Man, I'm looking for the good life. Yeah, something that you can't imagine, something you don't know.